Life rarely goes exactly as we plan. We set our sights on certain goals, we envision a future shaped by our own desires, and we work tirelessly to make those dreams a reality. But no matter how much effort we put in, there are times when things don't work out the way we expected. Doors close, opportunities slip away, and the road we thought we were meant to travel suddenly takes a sharp turn. In those moments, disappointment creeps in, and we wonder why things didn't go according to our plan. It is only later, sometimes years down the line, that we begin to understand what seemed like a setback was actually a setup for something greater. What looked like rejection was actually divine protection. Many times, what we see as failure is simply redirection. We may not realize it in the moment, but there is a purpose behind every closed door, every missed opportunity, and every unexpected change in our path. We often dream within the limits of our own understanding, thinking we know what is best for us. But our perspective is small compared to the infinite wisdom of God. When something doesn't go our way, it's easy to feel frustrated. But what we don't see are the countless ways we are being guided towards something far greater than we could have imagined. There are countless stories of people who thought they had lost everything, only to later realize that what they perceived as a loss was actually the best thing that could have happened to them. A person may strive for a particular job, pouring all their energy into securing a position they believe is perfect for them. They go through rounds of interviews, feeling hopeful, only to receive a rejection. In that moment, it feels like the end of the road. They question their worth, their abilities, and whether they will ever find success, but what they don't see is the opportunity waiting just around the corner. One that aligns far more with their strengths, their values, and their true purpose. Sometimes we hold on too tightly to things that are not meant for us, whether it's a relationship, a career path, or a personal ambition. We convince ourselves that we know what we need, but when something is removed from our lives, it is often for our own good. There are times when we would have settled for something far less than what we deserved, simply because we didn't know any better. We think we are losing something valuable, but in reality, we are being freed from something that was never truly meant to be ours. Change is difficult. When life forces us onto a new path, it often comes with discomfort. There is uncertainty, fear, and a sense of loss. But what we fail to realize is that these changes are leading us somewhere better. The very thing we resisted, the very situation that caused us pain, is often the one that shapes us into who we are meant to be. Without these redirections, we would remain in places that no longer serve us, holding on to things that were never meant for us. There are moments in life when we pray for something, convinced that it is what we need. We pour our hearts into our requests, asking for things to happen exactly as we envision. And yet, sometimes those prayers go unanswered, not because we are forgotten, but because we are being protected. What we ask for may not always be what is best for us. Sometimes God withholds what we want in order to give us what we truly need. We have all experienced times when we thought we knew the best path for our lives, only to later realize that the route we were forced to take was far better. Perhaps we wanted to be with a certain person, believing they were our future, only to experience heartbreak. In the pain of that moment, it's impossible to see the bigger picture. But later, when we meet someone who truly understands and supports us in ways we never thought possible, we begin to understand why things had to happen the way they did. There are situations that seem unfair, moments that feel cruel, and circumstances that test our faith. But if we look back at our lives, we can see the pattern. Every hardship led us to something greater. Every rejection saved us from something that was not right for us. And every disappointment opened the door to an opportunity we never would have considered. When we trust in the process and let go of our need to control every outcome, we begin to see how everything is falling into place exactly as it should. What once seemed like a failure reveals itself to be a stepping stone. What once felt like a loss turns out to be a blessing. And what we once mourned as an ending becomes the very thing that led us to a beautiful new beginning. Loss is something everyone experiences at some point in life, whether it is the loss of a relationship, an opportunity, a dream, or something deeply personal. It can leave behind a void that feels impossible to fill. In the moment, it is difficult to see past the pain, to imagine that anything good could come from it. The human heart clings to what is familiar, to what feels safe. And when something is taken away, it creates a sense of instability. There is a deep longing to understand why things happened the way they did, why something that once felt so secure is suddenly gone. But time and time again, life proves that what we lose is often replaced by something far greater. There are times when people lose jobs they worked tirelessly for, careers they dedicated years to building, only to find themselves standing at a crossroads. It is natural to feel defeated, to wonder if all that effort was wasted. The loss of security and stability is frightening, but what is unseen in that moment is the opportunity waiting just ahead. Many who have faced unexpected career shifts later realize that the path they were on was never truly meant for them. The loss, which once felt devastating, became the very thing that pushed them towards something more fulfilling, something they never would have considered had they remained where they were. In relationships, the same pattern often unfolds. A person may invest their heart in someone they believe is their future, only for that relationship to end. Heartbreak has a way of making it seem as though nothing will ever compare, as if the loss is too great to overcome. But what is unknown in that moment is what lies ahead. People often settle for less than what they deserve because they fear being alone, because they cannot yet see the love that is meant for them. It is only later, when something far greater comes into their life, that they begin to understand why the past had to fall apart. The pain that once seemed unbearable transforms into gratitude for a path that led to something better. Life often forces change in ways that seem cruel at first. A person may be forced to move from a place they have always called home, leaving behind memories, comfort, and familiarity. At first, it feels like an uprooting, a displacement that creates uncertainty. But with time, they begin to build something new, something that would have never been possible had they stayed where they were. The loss that once felt overwhelming becomes the very thing that allowed them to grow in ways they never imagined. There are moments when friendships fade, when people who were once an important part of life drift away. It is painful to lose those connections, to watch people change and take different paths, but not every loss is meant to break us. Sometimes certain relationships end because they have served their purpose. People are placed in our lives for different reasons, some to teach us, some to challenge us, and some to walk with us for only a season. When they leave, it is because their role in our journey has ended, making space for others who will align with who we are becoming. Unexpected hardships often serve as turning points. A failed business, a missed opportunity, an unexpected setback. These are things that can feel like devastating losses, but hidden within these moments is a chance to rebuild, to start fresh, to pursue something even greater. Many of the world's most successful people only found their true calling after experiencing failure. What seemed like an end was actually a beginning in disguise. The loss that once brought disappointment became the foundation for something even more extraordinary. There is a tendency to hold on tightly to what is known, to fear change because it brings uncertainty. But what if every loss was actually making room for something better? What if instead of mourning what is gone, we chose to trust that something greater is on its way? Time has a way of revealing the purpose behind every ending, showing that nothing is truly lost, only transformed into something even more beautiful. Waiting is one of the hardest things to do. It goes against human nature to be patient when faced with uncertainty. The desire for immediate answers, for quick resolutions, is strong. When prayers seem to go unanswered and dreams feel distant, it is easy to question whether things will ever work out. Doubt creeps in, and the mind begins to wonder if the silence means that nothing is happening. But faith requires trusting in the waiting, even when there is no visible proof that things are moving forward. There are moments in life when everything seems still, when no progress can be seen. A person may be working toward a goal, putting in effort day after day, only to feel as if nothing is changing. It is in these moments that faith is tested the most. The temptation to give up, to believe that the waiting is pointless, is strong. But just because something is not happening in the way or the timing that is expected does not mean it is not happening at all. Growth often takes place beneath the surface, unseen and unnoticed, until the right moment comes for it to be revealed. Faith is not about having all the answers immediately. It is about believing that there is a purpose even in the delays. A person may be praying for a breakthrough, for a door to open, but when it does not happen as quickly as they hope, they start to question whether it will ever happen at all. It is in these times of waiting that trust must be stronger than fear. Delays are not denials. Just because something is taking time does not mean it is being withheld. Sometimes the waiting period is necessary for preparation. There are lessons to be learned, growth to be experienced, and strength to be built before stepping into the next chapter. Waiting is not wasted time. Though it may feel like nothing is happening, important things are being put into place behind the scenes. A person looking for the right job may feel discouraged when doors keep closing, unaware that the perfect opportunity is still being prepared. Someone praying for love may feel forgotten when relationships don't work out, not realizing that they are being protected from something that was never meant for them. The waiting period is where character is shaped, where patience is developed, and where faith is strengthened. There is a tendency to want to control the outcome, to force things to happen according to a personal timeline. But faith requires surrendering that need for control and trusting that what is meant to be will unfold at the right time. A seed does not grow into a tree overnight. It takes time, the right conditions, and seasons of change before it reaches its full potential. The same is true for the things that are meant for each person. What is being prepared is often greater than what can be imagined, but it requires patience to receive it. Doubt often appears when time passes without visible progress. It is easy to believe in something when there are signs that things are working out, but real faith is believing even when nothing can be seen. It is holding on when everything suggests letting go. It is trusting that just because the answer has not arrived yet, does not mean it never will. Many of the greatest blessings in life come after long periods of waiting, and when they do, it becomes clear why things had to take time. The waiting period is not meant to be a time of frustration, but a time of preparation. When waiting for something important, there is always an opportunity to grow in other areas. A person waiting for their dream job can use that time to develop new skills. Someone waiting for the right relationship can focus on becoming the best version of themselves. The time of waiting is not empty, it is a season of refinement. Trusting in the waiting means believing that every moment serves a purpose, even when it is unclear. It means knowing that delays do not mean denials and that the best things often take time. It means surrendering the need for immediate answers and having faith that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Human understanding is limited by experience, perspective, and time. People see only what is directly in front of them, making decisions based on what they know in the present moment. Plans are often built around what seems logical, safe, or achievable within personal ability, but there are countless times when even the best laid plans fall apart, dreams are left unfulfilled, and paths take unexpected turns. In those moments, it is easy to feel lost, to wonder why things did not go as expected. However, what is unseen in those moments is that God's plans are far greater than anything human minds can conceive. People often set goals based on what they believe is possible, placing limits on what they think can be achieved. They calculate risks, measure their abilities, and attempt to create a path that makes sense. But human vision is narrow compared to the vastness of what is truly possible. What may seem like an impossible situation can change in an instant when divine intervention is at work. Doors that appear closed can open in ways that defy logic. What once seemed like a failure can turn into an opportunity beyond anything that was originally imagined. There are moments when life does not unfold as expected, when a person reaches a point where they feel stuck, as if they have hit a wall. Dreams that once seemed within reach may suddenly seem unattainable. When efforts do not produce the desired results, frustration sets in. The temptation to settle for less, to believe that certain things are out of reach, becomes strong. But what is unseen in those moments is that limitations exist only in human minds, not in divine plans. Just because something seems difficult or impossible does not mean it is beyond reach. Often what feels like an ending is actually a shift towards something even greater. People naturally desire control over their own lives. They want to plan every detail, to create a future that aligns with their expectations. But life does not always follow human plans. There are detours, unexpected challenges, and moments that force a change in direction. When things do not go as intended, it can feel like failure. But what is often missed in those moments is that the redirection is not a setback. It is a step towards something far greater. What is lost is often replaced by something beyond what was originally planned. The very things that seemed disappointing at first later become the very reasons a better outcome was possible. Expectations are shaped by what is known, by personal experiences and past successes or failures. But those expectations are limited. What seems like the best possible outcome may not even compare to what is truly in store. Many people have settled for something less than what they were meant for, simply because they could not see beyond their immediate situation. But when given time, they often look back and realize that what they thought they wanted was far smaller than what was ultimately given to them. Timing is another aspect that is difficult for people to understand. When something does not happen according to personal timelines, it is easy to assume it never will. But what is unseen is that timing is not about immediate gratification, it is about preparation. What may seem like a delay is actually the time needed to develop the necessary strength, wisdom, and understanding to receive something even greater. Rushing into something too soon can mean missing out on the fullness of what was intended. Waiting may be difficult, but it often leads to something that exceeds expectations in ways that were never imagined. People often seek only what they believe is within their reach, but divine plans operate without those limits. The opportunities that open, the paths that unfold, and the unexpected blessings that arrive often go far beyond what was originally hoped for. A person may plan for a small victory, but what is in store is a far greater triumph. A door that seemed permanently shut may lead to an entirely new path, one that would have never been considered if things had gone according to the original plan. The greatest moments of realization often come in hindsight. Looking back, it becomes clear why certain things had to happen the way they did, why some doors remained closed while others opened. The disappointments that once seemed unbearable often turn into moments of gratitude. What was once thought to be a failure is later seen as necessary for something greater. Plans that seemed to fall apart were actually making way for something beyond what was ever expected.